Hi, my name is Heather Mackey. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is abortion. I have had this topic in my heart for the past 2 months, and specifically, this topic is coming up and bubbling up inside of me because there's a message I would like to convey to any entity that has ever had an abortion. And so, in a way, I'm also speaking to those of you who are in a new flesh costume and maybe had one in a past life. Just any of you that have ever done it in any paradigm. And in classic Heather Mackey fashion, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I have always known that my communication is for everyone and anyone, and it does not exclude any part of life. That subatomically, eternally unified field of energy that cannot be created nor destroyed, that is made of mostly emptiness, that expresses in a wide variety of forms, always historically has, and always will. So I've decided, even though this message is for those that have had an abortion, I've decided to begin with those that hold a different philosophy than I do on this topic. Specifically, I kind of want to speak to if you hold a philosophy or if you follow a religion, and your religion specifically dictates that you should proselytize, like you need to get the good word out there, get people on your program. Some of you may conceive this to be like you need to protest at a Planned Parenthood, and picket sign, share your philosophy when someone is in the process in which they're about to get an abortion. So first I want to speak to y'all and say, I don't know your religion or your philosophy as well as you do, clearly, because I follow a different philosophy. My experience of that philosophy, there are variations of it, but let's use an example. Let's use the Christian example. There are other religions that would also say it's not appropriate to get an abortion. So I'm not here to change your mind. What I'm here to say is, in the Christian way, in the Christian model, Yeshua ben Joseph, the brown-skinned Christian man that was actually Jewish, that many Christians follow today and see as a Christian man, although he was Jewish and brown-skinned. So just clarifying, this beautiful brown man that so many follow was a phenomenal, to me, master teacher. I think he was just a very evolved soul. I also believe that about Muhammad and Buddha and many beings that have come to Earth School. I believe in many masters, to each their own. I'm not right. I'm just an opinion sack like you. He taught 70 times 7 forgive, which is one of my favorite teachings. The reason this teaching would be available is because of the magnitude of judgment that's available in a two-legged consciousness. So he taught to forgive where we have judged, and he taught much about love, to be loving. I appreciate that there may be some religions where it literally dictates in your religion that you should proselytize, and I'm not going to ask you to not do that, because I like the freedom of being me. And I would like for all two-leggeds to have freedom to be who they are. And I would love for diversity to be celebrated as a part of life. And if we look at history, which we say repeats itself, it's always been there. We've never had all two-leggeds be like, oh, we all agree. Pick any topic in the universe. That's never happened. So based on the paradigm of being a two-legged, I want to have reverence for where you come from and just say that from the concept of forgiveness, from the concept of compassion, from the concept of love of your master teacher, every person I've ever talked to that's had an abortion, it was very difficult and painful and a very difficult decision for them to make. And so I just want to ask you, some of those people were raped, some of those people were in violent, physically abusive relationships in which they felt imprisoned in the cycle of emotional and physical abuse they've been exposed to and then became impregnated. And I'm definitely not communicating from my philosophy that there are circumstances in which you should or should not have choice. That's not the message. But what I would say is, as a Christian, do you want to come to a person that is potentially making one of the most difficult choices of their life, potentially has just been raped, which my question, if you're a Christian, is, have you been raped? Do you know what they've been through? Have you been in a physically abusive relationship? Do you know what shoes they walk in? Are you walking in their shoes? Do you know their story? Because I feel like Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus the Christed One, taught much about having compassion for others that we don't understand and having reverence for the difference in their journey, in their shoes that you're not walking in. And I just want to invite and invoke a conversation around, have you ever considered that if you are somebody that would protest at a Planned Parenthood, or even somebody that would bomb one, or somebody that feels like that's a great solution, have you ever considered the truth that you don't walk in their shoes, you have no idea their storyline, and whether you agree with what they're doing or not? My question to you as a Christian is, do you want to respond to somebody potentially in a trauma state, in a triggered state, with judgment, correction, aggression? Is that how you want to respond? Many of you may believe that, may be very pro-life and not agree, and may have that awareness and that compassion and that understanding of your master teacher. So because I wanted to speak to everyone, I'm just going to speak to everyone. So if you have that on the topic of abortion, I'd like to thank you. If you are someone that is pro-life and doesn't and does think that even though so many of God's children have had an abortion, that it is wrong and that God didn't want his kids to do that, then if you're somebody who doesn't aggress against that, what you disagree with, if you don't need to be aggressive or attacking or judgmental, I'd like to thank you for that, because some two-leggeds that don't agree with it do have an awareness that that's not my walk. I don't agree with that. I would say, if you don't believe in abortion, don't get one. Don't get pregnant and get an abortion if you don't agree with it. You are the steward of your vessel. You always will be. And if your philosophy disagrees with that, then I don't recommend it for you. And so I think, just in reverence to all the different perspectives that are down here, I'd really like to think and acknowledge those that do have their philosophy on it, and don't choose hostility, aggression, judgment, violence, any of that is very counter to the Master Yeshua ben Joseph or Jesus the Christed One's teachings. I'd like to acknowledge you. Thank you. Now to the message for those that have had an abortion. This has been in my heart for 2 months. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the very difficult choice that you made. And most of all, what I want to do is do what is so rarely done societally. To thank you, to acknowledge you, to recognize you. You have given a grace to humanity through that decision. From my philosophy, and from my marinating at allness, marinating on the allness with my allness, I don't believe in a loving and compassionate God that needs little soldiers down here to exercise its will. If there is something that is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, then it would be able to change the heart of any entity that ever wanted to have an abortion if it didn't want its children to have abortions. So I don't think God needs little soldiers to move the minds and hearts of man. I personally don't believe that. And if you do, I respect your view. You are free to be you, boo-boo. We're never going to all agree as two-leggeds, and I don't need you to agree with me, and I respect you, and that's good for you. Good for you that you found something that sings to your heart. To those that have had an abortion, it is a very difficult choice. Even though everything's made of emptiness, including fetuses, including yourself, including every expression of life that has ever existed, is absolutely made out of 99.99 99% emptiness. We like to pretend like it's not all the time. We do like it's love to pretend like it's not made out of emptiness all the time. It's real. It's really here. And that causes us to get into some really egocentric ideas like we're playing God or whatever that is. I want to talk to those that have chosen abortion to just talk about what you've done for society. Number one, you didn't increase the population. We have 7.8 billion people on the earth. The earth as a resource is what it is. It's not, we're not going to add extra earth to the earth. What's here is what we got. And so this is what we have, you guys. So you did not add another two-legged to the earth to consume its resources. And so you did not increase the population, which is a challenge. So you made a choice that actually caused population to not increase. You made a choice that caused additional resources of the earth to not be gobbled up, which actually gave all the two-leggeds that chose to have a child more resources for their children, more resources for their grandchildren. So if you're pro-life and you have children, all the abortion havers have provided more for your lineage. You're welcome. A, and B, thank you. Thank you. That was a difficult choice for you, no doubt, because we very much believe we are the body. I mean, I'm always asking two-leggeds this question. If you have a soul, if you have a spirit, if you exist beyond the physical, then death kind of isn't real. Then you're not really your body. You're actually a spirit. You're actually a soul. So I just want to ask you, if you've had an abortion, if you have any guilt or shame, to please forgive yourself. You've actually been a gift to all of humanity. And I want you to see it. And I want you to know it about yourself. You have been a gift to all of humanity because you have not increased the volume that consumes resources that the entire volume is utilizing. You've done that through that difficult choice that you made. And it has aided all that will proliferate here on the earth. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge your bravery. I acknowledge your courage. If you got out of an emotionally, physically abusive relationship and didn't bring life into that circumstance, thank you for that. There are a lot of children that are abused, that are raped and sexually assaulted, that are facing heinous, egregious crimes from two-leggeds that probably shouldn't have children because they're not being stewards of the flock. And so if you had your own trauma or your own awareness that you wouldn't be able to be a good steward or be a good parent, whatever your reasoning was, thank you. Thank you for not increasing also the number of children that are traumatized here because of you have to have a child if one is inside of you because it's like the body is real and blah, blah, blah. To each their own, but I don't hold that philosophy. So just really thank you. If you were aware, you wouldn't make a good steward of a little one. Little ones deserve great, devoted, loving time and attention. And I don't ask parents to be saints. We all get to grow in our own way. We all get to evolve, and it actually helps kids to have a little bit of challenge from the way their parents show up because it helps them to operate better in the world. But there are lots of people, I think, that have had abortions that are aware they're not in a space to be a parent. And thank you for your awareness of self and your bravery and courage to take a stand for that. If you are aware that you are not willing to share your attention with a child, I think it's a great idea to not have one. And unless you've been somebody who has faced a lot of sexual assault and gets traumatized sexually a lot and then gets impregnated, you don't understand that Planned Parenthood doesn't mean I didn't plan for parenthood. It means I'm reacting to sexual trauma that was handed down to me. And now I need to take care of the circumstance that was handed to me. Thank you. Bless you. May you be well, and may you be proud of all that you do.